Hello guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Tic-Tac-Toe tutorial. So last time we were able to create the board and we were able to figure out a way to be able to check for winners. Now, when I was going through the code, I realized that I made a few errors. Yeah, I made a few of them and I'm going to correct them right now. So the first one is when we decide to check the second column. So when we are checking the second column, you have to start from, the first row, the second row, and the third row by the same column. Because Python's numbering starts from 0, the third row has to be a 2 over here. So that's the first thing. And also, when you are checking the leading diagonal, over here, the the last one over here should be 2, 2, which would mean the third row and the third column. Because I was saying third, I ended up writing 3. And then my the last error that I noticed is that when you're checking the other diagonal, you have to start from, top right. And the top right is first row, third column. That's correct. And then the middle is, second and second. But then the bottom left should be the first column and then the third row. First column and the third row. So when I take the row, this is the third row. But then I have to take what? The first column. And the first column is not 1. It should be represented by 0. After doing this, it all makes sense. So it means we are right on track. Now, can I show you that if you go ahead and run this code, it won't work? Well, if you call this function and then you try to check the board and it enters one of these if-else statements, it will not work. The reason is simple. If you understand the concept of local and global variables, you know that the one over here is a global variable, and as such, I cannot use it directly inside this function unless I tell Python that I want to use that particular global variable. So all the one and the winner variables that we have under this function check winner are actually local variables. So in order to tell Python that we are referring to the variables at the top over here, we have to use this format. We have to tell Python by writing global, and then we tell Python that the one and the winner variable are global variables that we are referring to inside over here. And as soon as I do that, you realize that the underlining over here is gone. And just to follow some rules, I am going to put in a comment over here. And not actually a comment, I'm going to put in a doc string over here. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to say something like function for checking checking winner. Something of the sort is okay. And just to keep our things professional, that's the whole reason behind it. Nothing very special about it. Now, after we've created a function for checking the winner, we now want to get into the game. So we want to create a function for printing the board out to the user. So we are going to do that below here. We are going to define a function for display board. We can call it display board. And obviously we have to pass the board as an argument. And what we are going to do is to print out the board. But to display it, we have to use we have to write it in a way such that it will be a bit nice for the user. And I'm basically going to use some print statements and something to just, get it all to work. So I'm going to print the first row. But I'm not going to do it. Let's say I'm not just going to print out the list for the user. I want it to be something nice. So what I am going to do is to use an F string here, and I'm going to have 3 sections separated by this pipe. Yeah, I'm going to have 3 sections separated by the pipe. The first side will take the board, the very first cell, the first row, and this place will be board, first row, second column, and then this place should be board, and then this will be same first row, but then the third column rather. So I'm going to save this now, and I'm going to call the function display board, and I'm going to pass in the board as an argument, board like this. And then I'm going to run the code and see what happens. So after running the code, it basically displays the very first row for me. So I'm going to copy that and do the same thing 2 more times so that I get all of them. This should be the second row. So the second row will be a 1. Second row, the columns would also be the same. So now they were okay with it. This should be the third row, 2, 2, and 2. So basically, if you call this function, it should display the board for you. So if I, run it again, I should be able to get the full board displayed for me. So this is looking a bit, nicer. It's looking a bit nicer. And the idea is that the user or the whoever is playing the game should be able to input a 1 for this position, a 2 here, a 3 here, a 4 here, 5 here, 6 here, 7 here, 8 and 9. I hope you get what I'm trying to say, so that it would be a bit easier. So the user will input something, and based on what the user inputs, we are going to represent that location with the player's, did I say initial? If the player is represented with an X, we will change that place with an X. If the player is represented with an O, we will change that place to an O. So now that we are done with that, I'm going to create a function that would allow the user to play. I'm basically going to take a player, and that's it. I'm going to take a player and that's it. Now inside this function, I'll be using the board variable that we have over here. So I'm going to tell Python that by writing global, and I'm going to, write the board over here like this. So I'm basically telling Python that I want to be using that particular global variable called board, not the local variable, so that when it makes changes, it will make it to the global one. That makes sense. Inside here, I'm going to create a dictionary, and I'm basically just going to say something like location is equal to a dictionary, and inside the dictionary, I'm going to have key value pairs. The key would be a number, and the value would be the board location. So this would be board 0. Yeah, this would be board 01, no, 00, and then number 2 would be. Okay, so now that I've created this, I believe you already know what this stands for. This basically just tells me that if the person picks location 1, it's referring to this side of the board. If the person picks location 2, it's referring to this side. In that order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 9. So basically, we are going from left to right, top to down, like that. Now, after I've done this, I'm basically going to take an input from the user, and that input should be what the user wants to, No, I don't want to take the inputs from the user. I want the user to have already given the input. So I'm basically going to put the user's choice over here. So user choice as a variable that would be passed in. And obviously, I would have checked if the user's choice is actually available before I would come here. So all I'm going to do here is to do board, and I'm going to do user choice, not even board user choice. I'm actually going to do location. So I'll do location. Yeah. So I'll do location, and I'll be taking the user choice from there. So user choice, and this should be changed by the player. So if the player is X, it will be changed. If the player is Y, it will be changed, and the change will be made to the board. And then finally, I'm going to create another function over here to link everything very well so that you understand. I'm going to create a function over here, and this function is going to be the game. So play game or run game. So basically going to say run game, and I'm going to create that as a function. So this is what I'll be starting with. And what I'm going to do is to first display the board for them. Then I'll tell them to, I'll display the board for them. Then after displaying the board, I'll tell them to enter the numbers. Oh, I don't need to tell them, this is our own game. So you have to understand that the 1 stands for this place, the 2 is this, and the 3 is this. So all I need to be taking from them is user choice. So I'll take the user, or should I say player choice rather. Oh, user choice is equal to int, and this would be an input that I'll take from them, and I'll say select position, and I'm just going to leave it like that. It's actually supposed to be a number. I could use a try and except block, but I'm not going to use that right now. Let's finish up with the actual game, then we continue from there. So after I've taken the user choice, I am going to check if there is an available spot. So I'm going to create another variable. I'm going to create another variable here called available spots. And as we start, the available spots are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yes, I know I could have generated this using one of those range or I don't know, one of those list expressions, but I just want to write it out so that everything will be beginner centered. Now, these are the available spots. So I have to first check if the user choice is in the available spot. So if user choice in available spots, then I can play. And to play, I have to pass in a player, and also I have to pass in a player, and I have to also pass in the user choice. So I'm first going to pass in a player, and I'm going to pass in user choice. Now, as of now, I've not created any function, any variable for the player. So first, I'm going to start from player equals x, so the first player will be x, and after I've played, then I'll change the player to an O. Then after I've played, I'll change the player to an X. That in that order. Yes, in that order. We will be going in that order. So basically, yes, I think it makes sense. So basically, I have a player here, X, and after I've played, then I'll have an if statement here. If player equals X, I want to now change player should now be equal to O. Then also else if elif player equals O, then I want to now change player to, okay, where is the thing going? Then I want to now change player to an X. Yeah. And I think I'm doing this really fast. If I'm doing really fast, I'll take the rest of the time and be able to go over everything for you so that it would make sense. There should be, yeah. And also, after the player has played, we need to remove that spot from the available spot. So we have to do available spots dot remove, available spot dot remove. Then we give an integer, and that would be the value that we want to remove, right? So the value would be the user input, user choice, and yes. So after we've removed it, what we are going to do is to do another thing if in case the user's input is not over here. So I'm actually going to put a continue over here, and I'm going to place the whole of this in a while loop so that it actually goes on forever until there is a winner. So maybe while not one. Yes, while not one makes perfect sense. While not one, it should do this. And then inside over here, after each player has played, after the player has played, I need to be able to check for a winner. And I'm going to do that by calling the function check winner inside over here. And I'm basically going to pass the board as an argument. And after passing the board as an argument, it's going to check the winner. And based on what we are over here, it's going to make changes to the global variables won and the global variables winner. So after it has checked for winner, I am going to check those variables. So if won, it means someone has won the game. And then I'll basically print out to the user that maybe an F string over here. And I'll be saying that the person that we set as the winner has won. Basically, that's what we are going to do. And then after doing this, I should be able to break out of the for loop. And I've written a lot of code. I want to see if the thing would actually work. So I'm going to run this in the terminal. I'm going to run the code in the terminal, and I'm going to see what will happen. Let's hope we don't get any errors. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. I didn't call the function run game, so basically it's not going to do any game. So run game, that's the starting point of our game, and I'm going to run this again in the terminal. So it says I should select a position. I decided to select 1. Well, it doesn't make any change to the board. Okay, that's interesting. Select 2. It doesn't make any change to the board. It just basically does the same thing all over again. Yeah, doesn't make any change to the board. So means something is not right. So we have to go back to this again. So available spot is this. If not 1, 1 is initially set to false. That makes sense. So it should have entered this. So it displays the board. It takes the user input, converts it into an integer. If user choice in available spot, which I believe should be in available spot, it should do the play. And it should play, and then it should take in the player and the user choice. So if you go back to the play, said that it should make a change to the board. I want to know if something is happening over here. So I'm going to print out the user choice here and see. This is an easy way to, have a quick fix. So I'm going to run, I'm going to clear. So I take position 1. It actually prints it. So it means it comes here, but it doesn't make this change over here. And that is a problem. That is a problem. So I don't think this dictionary is going to work. What I'm going to do is to use my normal if-else statement. So if user choice is equal to, let's say 1, then I'll basically be changing the first location. So I'll be like, if it's equal to 1, then I'll be like board. That's not how to spell board. And this will be position 0, and this will be 1. And I am going to assign this to the player, or I'm going to assign player to that point. I'm going to copy this a few times. Oh, let me write the early version. Copy this, paste, and I'm going to write this as if it is equal to 2, then it should change the second position rather. I'm going to copy this, paste it a few more times. Okay, now that I've pasted it about 9 times, I'm going to basically be changing the numbers over there. So if this is equal to 2, it should do that. If this is equal to 3, well, it should start from 0. This should be 1, and this should be 2. Then this would be 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. And this should be 1, 1, 1. This should be 2, 2, and 2. And finally, the numbers over here, the user choice should be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, basically, the explanation over here is that if the user input is equal to 1, I want to change the first row represented by the 0 by here, first row, first column by the value of the player. And this is first row, second column, first row, third column, second row, first column, second row, second column, second row, third column, third row, first column, third row, second column, third row, third column, that thing. So I'm going to basically save the game now, and I'm going to run the file again and see what happens. Yeah, I think I know why this error is coming there. I left the game running, so I'm basically going to clear and I'm going to run it again. So now I'm going to choose position 1. Okay, it changes that. I'm going to choose position 2. That's an O. That's good. I'm going to choose maybe position 4. And finally, I'm going to choose position 7 and see. So that person has blocked it. I'm going to choose position 5. I want to make sure that X wins, and let me see whether I'll be able to get a winner. So I'm currently position 6. So they say that X has won. So that seems to be working. The game seems to be working. So right now we should be a bit happy about it. Honestly, if you are building a game like this, you need to do a lot of testing to see if what you have done is actually working. And for a tic-tac-toe game like this is not the only way to build it. I honestly don't think that this is the only way to build it. Actually, if I'm supposed to build this right now, I wouldn't be building it like this. But I want to build it from a beginner's point of view. And that's why I even started. I didn't write the code down before even starting. I just decided to go ahead and start recording myself as I build the thing so that you wouldn't feel like the people online are building the thing. They are just writing the thing and they are building it. You feel like, okay, they also have problems. They also face challenges. They face bugs and then they try to fix it one after the other. And that's how it is in the real life. Sometimes myself, when I go and watch YouTube videos, I know that they edit the videos and remove the parts where they make mistakes. And also I know that they build the thing, they finish building the thing themselves before they try to teach you how to build it. And sometimes if I'm watching that, it makes me feel like if I'm supposed to build this on my own, I'll definitely suffer. But they are just there and they started building. It's not so. So personally, I made this video. If you see the video series, the first video, the part 1 has an error, and the part 2, I'm actually here suffering, and finally I think it works. It works. I am actually going to try it again and see what will happen. Now, I think I should do something. Instead of just saying continue, I should print to the user that invalid spot. And I'm going to try that out and see how it's going to go. So I'm now going to run a game again. And I'm going to select maybe position 1. And I'm going to select position 1 again. It says invalid spot, try again. So position 2. And that works. So position 2 again, says invalid spot, try again. Position 3. Position 4 again, valid spot, position 5, position 6, position 7, and someone has won already. So position 7, someone has won already. I think that after we print that someone has won, we can display the board to show that, okay, the person has actually won. So I'm going to put a display board over and I'm going to pass in the board as an argument. What have I done? I'm going to pass in the board as an argument and I'm going to save that. Run the code again. At this point, you just need to test your code and fix it. That's how it's going to work. So I'm going to choose position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And by 7, the X should have won and I should display the board for the user. And I think this is really great. I'm happy about what I've done. I'm actually not excited about it because it's not one of those big games. But for a beginner who is starting programming, I think this is a really good start for the person. And I think this is actually just going to be our end of the tic-tac-toe game. I am going to try and leave this code up and running in the cloud. That's up and running in the cloud. I'm going to add it to my GitHub page and I'm going to leave a link in the description to it if you want to have a look at it. And guys, I'm sorry, I know this is not the best of videos. The video looks some way. There was a lot of errors inside. You need a lot of patience to actually watch my videos. But I think it would be helpful to some people. And that's my point of, creating this video. I'm actually done with the project now. You can see that, okay, we built the tic-tac-toe game. This is not the most ideal type of tic-tac-toe game, but I would say that it works. And as long as it works, it works. And what you need to work on now is refinement. And I'm sorry if I just if you think I just wasted your time, but to me, it should be worth it. Even though we are done with the game, I'm going to make up a part 3 of this video where I'm actually just going to go over everything that we've done and I'm going to simplify everything that we've done, explain the same code again and see how that would work out. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. My name is Paul. You already know that, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.